Hi everyone, welcome to Karleen's Tarot. I'm so excited that you found your way here and that you're listening to this little video that I have prepared for you. I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time, ever since I got lost for a couple hours playing on my friend's VR set. And it felt eerie, like there was something, and it wasn't the game I was playing. It was something about that world that was kind of creepy to me. But ever since then, I've been diving into this topic, and I've wanted to do this video for a long time. So finally, we're diving in today into the colonization of consciousness. So for this video, I will contemplate the term, and the meaning behind it, kind of colonization of consciousness, originally coined by Russell Brand. In 1991, the World Wide Web was born. Back then, the vast majority had no idea where this would end. Many even thought it was a fad that would soon die down. The @ symbol, web address, email, URL, links, downloads, uploads, installations. Now, these are quite common concepts and firmly entrenched in our verbal culture. But back then, it represented a challenging and significant expansion of consciousness, which to this day still demands a lot from some people. The shocker is not that these things have developed, but the speed with which they have developed. We always seem to forget that knowledge grows exponentially. After the transfer of many of our real-world experiences to the web, such as banking, shopping, flirting, communication, art, sports and gaming, entertainment, meetups, literally everything our consciousness can do without a body, we are now ready for the next step, the new frontier. And it's not Mars. It is literally our consciousness. As always with new frontiers, there are the colonizers already prepped and waiting and planting their stakes before the majority realizes what game is even being played. Facebook, in spite of multiple privacy issues and scandals, is on the verge, actually past the verge, of controlling a new reality. Did they create this new reality, or was it already there, and they simply found a way in and a way to capitalize it? Any which way, they acquired Oculus in 2014, which now owns 75% of the VR market. Many, from Rudolf Steiner through to nature spirits, have revealed the coming of a new age, a totalitarian, autocratic stage of a big robotic eye in the sky. The question is, was this image implanted in us so our human consciousness serves as a portal, or even manifests this takeover of robotic consciousness? Whatever the case may be, the fundamental dilemma of humaning and humanity remains unchanged. Only the game level has been stepped up. And what game are we speaking of? Love and relationships. We take our relational trauma wherever we go. Nothing remains unchanged from the original divine mission to love. It might just become a little bit more complicated. Out of the pan and into the fire. We've always tried to escape, but it has always caught up with us. As long as humanity hasn't dealt with their trauma, specifically relational trauma, which creates a fear basis in relationships, this new system or reality, which could be something incredibly beautiful, also might be used to create something incredibly terrible. The famous Milgram experiment shows what people are capable of. It shows something darker and unresolved lurking within us, which we will call evil, but maybe it is simply a destructive force, as necessary as the culturally more acceptable positive constructive force. Once we integrate and harness our destructive side through recognition, acknowledgement, and discipline, we will use it for the good as well. All things ultimately serve God. In the book of Job, it says, "One day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. 'Where have you come from?' said the Lord to Satan. 'From roaming through the earth,' he replied, 'and walking back and forth in it.' Then the Lord said to Satan, 'Have you considered my servant Job? For there is no one on earth like him, a man who is blameless and upright, who fears God and shuns evil.' Satan answered the Lord, 'Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not placed a hedge on every side around him and his household and all that he owns? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and strike all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face.' "Very well," said the Lord to Satan. "Everything he has is in your hands, but you must not lay a hand on the man himself." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Well, there's several lessons here. One is that it seems, in spite of his role as being the ultimate evil, God didn't call the guards and have him thrown out of the celestial palace. He welcomed him as a son and gave him a job. The second thing is that it seems as if there's something arbitrary here, right? This programmer, if you will, that we call God, is arbitrarily allowing someone to suffer in what seems to be something that he is observing for his amusement or pleasure, possibly. This leads me to, you cannot control the grid from within. So to be a god or a programmer, you have to be an observer. So who's getting locked in this new matrix? And who's being brought to this new matrix, this new reality? And the devil is useful to the divine, so challenges are good. So where's the devil in this new trap of consciousness? Make no mistake, ultimately the game desires that our consciousness be inserted into that reality, just as our consciousness was inserted into this one. This time, however, we see it, we plan it, we manifest it, and we participate in it. Remember, our brains cannot discern between imagination and reality. Whatever we experience in that new world, be it friendship, love, hate, fear, adrenaline, all of it is real to the mind. And these experiences with others will become memories which create very real bodily reactions and emotional connections. The mind feels accomplished in that world, receives dopamine hits, and back in the real world, the incentive to achieve is lowered. All of these experiences in our world, our own experiences, which belong to us. In this world, they will belong to and be recorded by corporations or other entities with a stake in those worlds. Does all this mean that this new reality is a bad thing? Fundamentally, no. All states of consciousness and being are there for us to play in and explore. However, our inability to love and relate is what messes it up for us in each and every layer of our consciousness that we crash into. No matter where in this huge Garden of Eden of consciousness we run and hide, there God will be waiting for us, asking if we have yet learned to love. This development could be a phenomenal step, such as with augmented reality, to take advantage of the fact that the brain cannot differentiate imagination and reality, to assist and help, for example, with inner balance, inner peace, and helping heal mental and emotional health issues. If we don't learn to work with love, not just with our minds, we will create a living hell wherever we go. That means we can either have tech that serves us, or we can love life and each other so much that tech will only ever be a tool and a toy. So now we get to the question, what is this new reality in which any that can't make it to Mars will be forced to be in at some point? Well, let's start with NFT, Web 3.0, crypto, and the Metaverse. Realize that part of the colonization of consciousness involves recognizing the value shifts in a changing society, and that these value shifts today are influenced by technology such as NFTs. What is an NFT? NFT is short for non-fungible token, which simply means that it is a non-replaceable token. Token of what, you may ask? We will get to that. A non-replaceable item is something that exists only once, is not replaceable, like let's say an IKEA chair or a cheap ramen noodle package. But to really understand tokens, we also have to understand the blockchain. And what is that? Well, let's say you have an account at the bank. The bank tallies at the end of the day all your daily account transactions and tells you you have this amount in your bank account. Now let's say someone bought a piece of pie from you and that cost $3.50. So their bank communicates with your bank and both record the transaction. One side debits and the other side credits $3.50. Both tally at the end of the day. Needless to say, these records are meticulous, or they're supposed to be. But the main thing is, the bank is what records these transactions. Now, enter the blockchain. The main concept of this kind of ledger is credited to cryptography work that was conducted by two scientists, W. Scott Stornetta and Stuart Haber. In their work, the goal of the two scientists was to develop a system where the timestamps of a document would be immune to tampering or changes. But the credit for the conceptualization, specifically for the blockchain, is given to Satoshi Nakamoto, the elusive figure credited with creating Bitcoin. Imagine you didn't need a bank or a centralized authority to log these transactions. Banks that are often in cahoots with government or even directing governments and corporations. Let's say we could do direct transactions without a middleman. The blockchain is exactly that, a public record on the internet. Multiple computers connected to the internet all log the transaction, and it cannot ever be changed. Theoretically. That was the revolutionary idealistic outset, but many revolutionary ideas are taken over by more practical minds, and minor things like integrity have already been compromised, and there was an instant of a ledger discontinuity with Ethereum, but that's a whole other story. Anyways, it cannot ever be changed, deleted, altered in any way. Now, the thing about the blockchain is that it doesn't differentiate. So this ledger will log and tally anything and can be applied to non-money or currency. All we need is that basic human tenet of if the group agrees it is real, then it is real. In this case, the group validates the reality of it and the value of it. And for the most case, no one cares enough to make a huge deal of what someone else chooses to purchase and at what price. So if a dancing GIF is worth several $100,000 to someone, the many watching eyes shrug and say, okay. And so the reality and the value of the dancing GIF has been set. So the blockchain is uniquely positioned to give tangible value to things where traditionally tangible value has been hard to place, such as art, memorabilia, etc. Part of the upcoming changes that we will experience is that we can apply value to non-material things, such as emotions or speculated hype. But this ledger requires that computers do constant calculations all day and all night, forever. Now, the Ethereum blockchain stores most NFTs, and that requires the same energy as a small nation, like Serbia. This is a problem because as the ledger grows, so do the energy requirements. Right now, some of the companies working with the blockchain already include banks, such as BBVA, Barclays, HSBC, and Visa, supply chains such as Unilever, Walmart, Ford, healthcare such as the FDA, Pfizer, CDC, and Change Healthcare, insurances such as MetLife, Prudential, AIG, AIA, energy corporations such as Shell, Siemens, Abu Dhabi National Oil, trade such as Mizuho, SEB, People's Bank of China, Scotiabank, ANZ, travel such as Lufthansa, Delta, British Airways, UAE Airlines, Singapore Airlines, real estate such as Brookfield Asset Management, Coldwell Banker, governments such as in Sweden, in Uganda, in Singapore, South Korea, and Dubai. El Salvador has now made Bitcoin legal tender, which shows how this is all not a joke, has real-world effects, is way past the point of return, and the problems presenting are pushing our minds to evolve, think differently, and to find solutions. It is also clear why corporations and governments are pushing for societal energy and network change to adapt to growing requirements and what they see as evolution. People have to come to terms with this happening because technologically we're not going backwards. One of the solutions they found, which sounds very inhumane to us, possibly could be normal in the future generations. Maybe the Microsoft patent for a cryptocurrency system using body activity data, basically using the body heat you generate living, breathing, and doing tasks such as running, cycling, browsing online to fuel crypto mining, and pays you in tokens. Very Darwinian. More information is in the links in the description box below this video. That brings nicely into the metaverse, the right now, very Sims-like world which we are about to dive into. Make no mistake, you will dive into it. Best to fortify your connection with what we call and assume is the organic world and your concept of God once again. Remember, back when the internet began, we had no idea where this would all lead to. We didn't. Same with the metaverse. We can speculate, but ultimately, where it all ends up, we will have to see. But there are some pretty good assumptions we can make, such as, since it is still being built on the human consciousness we currently inhabit, there will still be power structures and inequality and experiences of non-love. Right now, wealthy people are already buying land and items they own in the metaverse, holding concerts and so on, and gaining a strong footing before the majority even realizes the game levels have switched. Back when the internet first began, it was the web. It was basically a place where you could have a one-page informational website and send some messages. But then we moved into Web 2.0, which is where we currently reside. This is more community-oriented and highly interactive, but there's still only one thing you can buy and own in internet land, and that is a domain name. Enter Web 3.0. This is where things are about to get really interesting. Thanks to NFTs and crypto, which will surely evolve over time, we might see people who are absolute millionaires or even billionaires in 3.0, but own nothing in our physical real lives. We might see people getting married with what we call fictional characters and only living with a cat in their physical life. We might even see murders due to occurrences in the metaverse, jealousies over bots, etc. Our entire language might change to incorporate the two realities we experience, and once again our consciousness will evolve to shift our sense of identity and what humanity is and what constitutes being human. The rejection of the concept of spirituality, that we are more than our bodies, might be lifted as people acknowledge that our lives play out in our minds, that we are non-physical, and that a memory made in Sims land is just as real to our consciousness as a memory made in the physical world. The internet, which is now free, will be owned by individuals and be ever-expanding mind worlds, requiring an ever-expanding machine to manage it. Who knows where this will all go, although the endgame is obvious. Sometimes I wonder if this is an escape for humanity into a different world as something enters our current one, or a deeper trap for our souls than we can even perceive. This is a natural technological progression, but without the equally important progression of the human heart, this could end up being the biggest nightmare ever. Either way, I believe God will be waiting there too, but that is a personal belief. Whatever is purchased in the metaverse, people will have full rights due to the blockchain. So in a nutshell, the importance of NFTs is that they are the foundations of blocks of value in the metaverse. Remember, money is worth what it is because of our social agreement that these slips of paper are valuable. The value of the NFT lies in how much those that embrace it see it. There is only one of each NFT, forever and ever and ever. Of course, I hope you realize that the ultimate NFT is DNA. So how can NFTs benefit you right now? Let's say you make a song as an NFT. You can make a note and set the initial sale to $1.80 every time the song is sold. That way you get $1 when someone purchases your song, and if they resell it also for $1, they make 20 cents and you make 80. Forever and ever and ever and ever. And this is wild when you think about the potential of reselling brands, real estate, anything in the metaverse, which is right now the Wild West with zero law and order. There are no banks, governments, corporations, no middlemen taking a cut, no labels like Apple or Spotify, nada yet. But there are no regulatory bodies either, which is why a unique digital identity for everyone is also so important to those who wish to retain control. Even entry to any verse will have a base cost. So now we have natural and virtual reality, and the virtual will become as real to us as the natural. Maybe not in our lifetime, but for sure in the next generations, as kids are being born every day who don't know a different world. Many of you watching this right now might not even know a world without the internet, that world being a long gone relic of the distant past. We will soon be doing everything in the metaverse. Company outings to expensive metaverse parks, Meetings, meetups, dinners, as you eat in your kitchen, sports and gym, concert, school, university, worldwide campuses, excursions to Mount Everest from the safety of your living room. The list is endless. As AI grows, it will take over all our manual labor requirements, such as growing, harvesting, processing, packing, and shipping food, building 3D print homes, and wearables. Ultimately, even the most intimate processes of human life could become something from home and with goggles or implants through bots, while our partners reside halfway around the world. Procreation will definitely change. Perversions initially become more rampant as inhibitions lower, as everything is now easily commodified through non-living sentience. The next steps is, of course, also bringing those holograms into our physical world as well. Remember, the mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, but it creates fantasy and knows what a fantasy is. Now, Facebook knows this new reality and has set itself up as the programmer. Eventually, you will be lured into this world or live as an outcast. They will sell this to us as a better way to live, to reduce the impact of us being on the planet, because of course there are no better solutions that they have found, apparently. Facebook and other tech giants seek to control us in 3 key ways: religious, economic, and political control. People will have no choice but to join in, experiencing pressure from all 3 sides. One example would be the pastor of Hillsong, an American megachurch, now holding exclusive to the Metaverse church sessions there. Political control has already been demonstrated. Economic control will be demonstrated through crypto and work life being brought to the Metaverse. Whom do we trust to own our reality? Do we feel it is right that someone else will be able to own and control our memories and lives we build in the Metaverse? There will be no free speech. Forget it. Is this the coming of Ahriman? We are humanity. We are explorers and navigators of the mystic seas, and I guess we will find out how to love in the Metaverse and figure out solutions to other problems when we get there. If you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and share, and let me know in the comments below. Forward unto dawn, people.